And hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Agorapreneurs Live. I'm Terry Brock and joined by my co-host and partner, Gina Carr. Gina, how you doing today?
Oh, just fantastic. Happy to be alive and doing great.
Yes, indeed. A good time to be alive, even in the midst of all this stuff going on, because we got some good things we want to share that are going on in the fields of NFTs, those non-fungible tokens, and many other kind of things that are happening with that. Tell us a little bit about that. Gina, you're going to be telling us today some of the events that you've seen that are going on and what's happening and how communities, particularly, are building on NFTs. I think there's a lot of opportunity on that. And start by telling us what in the world is an NFT?
Well, an NFT is a non fungible token. Now, that may sound like Greek, and for a lot of people it is. But basically, what it means is it's a unique way to transfer value. If you think about a dollar bill, I can give you a dollar bill, and that a dollar bill would be interchangeable with other dollar bills, thus making it a fungible item, not a token, but a fungible token of value, you could say. But non fungible is unique. For example, the example that's used many times is the Mona Lisa. So, the Mona Lisa, yes, I could have a picture of it, I could have a drawing of it, but the real Mona Lisa is one single painting. I think it's in the Louvre. It's somewhere in Europe, I imagine, and it's
I think they keep
special.
that in Paris.
I think they keep it in Paris, and it's unique. So it is non-fungible. You can't interchange it with any other painting. It's not the same value. And it's not a token, but it is non-fungible. So that's what we mean by non-fungible token. So Terry, is there anything you'd like to add on to that?
Well, I think you described it very well. When you look at the Mona Lisa as a good example, there's one, there's only one, and whatever the value of that is, and I'm sure it's a lot of money, it's something there. And I can take a picture of it, but that picture doesn't count. And it's the same thing when you have something that's authentic. And what we can do now is with the technology we have today, we can have this non fungible, meaning it can't be exchanged, token. And that token says, we own this, or at this date, at this time, so and so bought it from this person for this amount of money, and whatever details we want to put in there, we can. And that's stored in a place where it cannot be erased. And everyone gets to see it. And that's called blockchain. And blockchain is really the secret sauce that makes this possible. We've used blockchain for tools, particularly for Bitcoin, and that's where Bitcoin really has its power. But now, by using these with other items and making these other tokens, it becomes really valuable. And one of the areas, Gina, that you and I have looked at particularly is with communities. Tell us a little bit about the excitement of what you've seen and how we're getting ready to do that with Agorapreneurs, looking at some of the tokens and how they relate specifically to communities.
Well, if you have heard of NFTs at all, most likely you've heard of art, collectible art, digital art. But NFTs are now also being applied to in many different areas of business, including as memberships or as tokens of exchange for value in a membership. Look at it as a loyalty program. So let's say that you were a frequent flyer for Delta, which Terry is certainly a frequent flyer of Delta. And so he has received tokens of value for being a frequent flyer with Delta. And so that is one way to look at it. But it's a way to collect money for your organization, for your membership, for your subscription. Let's say that you have different levels of subscriptions for a service that you provide. And in doing that, let's say someone has this many of your tokens, they qualify for the bronze level, or this many tokens, they qualify for the silver level, and this many tokens, they qualify for the gold level. So instead of saying $100, $300, $500, you use NFTs. And the main advantage to that is that those assets, they are digital assets, they are ownership tokens by the person who makes the purchase. So rather than me just spending $500 with you as the service provider or the membership offer that I would be interested in, I could buy $500 worth of your tokens, which I could sell at a later date. They may be worth more, they may be worth less, but at least they're worth something. And I really like the fact that I can purchase an NFT, a non fungible token, rather than just spending the money that's spent and then gone. So people are using this in very creative ways to fund their membership programs, their organizations, their subscriptions, as well as their different events. And this is something that we're going to see increasing. It may or may not be called NFTs in the future. NFTs is kind of an awkward word, awkward term, but it's going to be the same concept. And essentially, it's just going to allow you to pay over the internet for a service and have an ownership stake, which is really going to increase the loyalty of your members. So, looking at it from a membership site owner, it's going to increase the loyalty because rather than being concerned about, oh, did they get my affiliate link if I'm trying to ask them to come join, you're going to want to, your members are going to want to invite people to join, partially and mainly because it's a great service, but also because their investment's going to increase when more people join if the program is run properly.
Yeah, I think so. One of the ways it's being used a lot with creators and with people that are coaches, that are speakers, that are authors, consultants, many different ways is they will have these NFTs that they can create, and people would be able to get those and then attend a particular meeting if they have enough of these coins or these NFTs. So if they have those, they can do it. Matter of fact, one of the things that you and I are getting ready to go to is some place that's going to be called the Creator Economy Expo. Matter of fact, we just happen to have a little link here where it's going to be. You can bounce over there and take a peek at it. CEX.events. It's the Creator Economy Expo. It's going to be held in Phoenix, May the I'm looking here at the calendar. I think it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th coming up just a few days from now out in Phoenix, Arizona, and there are going to be some amazing people there. Joe Pullizzi is one who has really pioneered in this area, and they're creating, based on the idea of a non-fungible token, they're taking a little twist on it, and the way they're doing it is with a never-ending ticket. NET. And that ending ticket is a real good one. I think that can be real handy for a lot of different applications. Now, Gina, you were telling me something else about this, and the way they can get $300 off on this ticket if they do that. What is that?
Yes, if they use the code VRS, that stands for Video Rockstars, one of our membership programs. If they use the code VRS, you can get $300 off the ticket at cex.events. So that's a great thing. And Terry and I are really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great event. Dan Pink is speaking, Pam Slim, Ann Hanley, Joe Pullizzi, Brian Fanzo, who we just saw Saturday. My goodness, there's just an amazing group of speakers. And in particular, if you're interested in this topic that Terry and I are, of the NFTs and the ways to add creator tokens, social tokens, the Web3 applications to your business, there's a whole track on that. And that's why we're going.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. We're going to get hands-on experience, of course, meet the people, and understand there's going to be a limited number of people attending, which is really good. There's a lot to be said for the very large conferences, and kind of nice now to get more of that happening in a in-person, face-to-face meeting. But also when you can have a smaller group and people who are really, really smart in an important topic, and you can get hands-on experience working with them to create some content. That's really something. Matter of fact, Joe is very famous for creating and being a part of a creator marketing and creator entrepreneurs. We had a chance, Gina, as you know, this last week, he was our guest on Video Rockstars. We meet every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we get a chance to do it, and people can come and attend that. One of the things he shared with us, I think, was really good. I've got a clip I want to share with you here, and through the wonders of sharing and being able to do a lot, we're going to bring up that clip that you can see of him where I asked him a question about some things and he went on. So we've got about a 3-4 minute clip here that I want to share with you and let you see the kind of things that are available with this and what he had to say as I bring it up here on the screen like that. Gina, we should see that on the screen right now. Actually not. We don't have that on the screen yet, do we?
Yes, you do.
Oh, we do. Okay, you see Joe on the screen. Well, then that's good.
Yes.
So with Joe on the screen, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click play here, and I want you to, those of you watching this, get your pen and paper ready to go, or your note-taking device of choice. Joe is one of the experts, the guy that is known for content marketing. And he has some real jewels here that can help you in the content that you're creating as well. And it starts with this question that I had for him. I think we all are. We're trying to figure out this new thing of Web 3.0 and what all of us that are content creators, that you showed creating content is a brilliant way to market. It's not just a matter of saying, hi, I'm wonderful by my stuff, but rather by using content done the right way, you can turn that into a real marketing advantage. From the beginning, kind of take us from that of how people are using it, what you have seen, and what you're recommending.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you some history on that, I mean, I started in publishing and I started by selling advertising. And we thought that there was an opportunity in this publishing environment to say, hey, we know how to create content and our customers need that content too. And this is when Google was coming out, when social media was coming out. We said, well, wouldn't it be wonderful, instead of just interrupting your customers, what if you created a relationship with them and you positioned yourself as the industry leader and you built a loyal, trusting relationship with them over time? And then once they know, like, and trust you, they'll buy your stuff. And I just said, wouldn't that just be the most amazing way to marketing without marketing? And so that's the way we sold it. The industry used to be called custom publishing, custom media. I started calling it content marketing. It took off, and then we went into Content Marketing Institute and whatnot. So you've been seeing this movement. Not that advertising is still advertising, by the way, is still the sun, and content marketing is still Pluto, if you will. It's not even a planet. When you talk about corporate spend, when you talk about what individuals and companies are doing, content creation is all the rage, and we know that, right? There's more people creating content than ever before. I mean, my mom's on Facebook. I guess you could call my mom a content creator. So there's differentiations, and we could talk about a little bit between why I like the term content entrepreneur over content creator, because it's a little more meaningful that we're trying to build a business. But what we're finding is that you have so many people and organizations creating content, but they're doing so without a strategy. They're not focused on a particular audience. They're not delivering consistently over a long period of time. They're focusing on delivering their content to all sorts of channels, which is not necessarily wrong, but the timing is wrong. Early in the process, when you're building an audience, you want to do so from one home base. What do you have? Do you have a podcast? Do you have a newsletter? Do you have a YouTube short? Do you have an Instagram channel? That should be one thing that you're great at. And then once you build what we call a minimum viable audience, then you can go out and diversify. So if you think about the history of media companies, you look at the New York Times, started with a print newspaper. If you look at TED Talks, they started with their 15 to 18-minute videos and in-person presentations. If you look at Huffington Post, they started with one blog to one audience, and now they're like 450 blogs. And you don't even realize that they're all separate blogs going to different audiences. And that's the way that you start building an audience. And then once you get to that minimum number, then you go ahead and can diversify into other things and create the podcast and whatnot.
Okay, and he goes on from there with a lot of good information that we shared, and those that are in Video Rockstars will be able to pick that up and be able to see a lot of the capabilities that are there with it and what can be done. And I think there's a lot of benefits for what he said and the idea. One thing I want to pick up on, Gene, I'd like to get your comments on it. He talks about starting with one thing. Start like Huffington Post started with one blog to one audience. And we see that there's a lot of good information there. We see that others will start with a podcast, and that's what they do, or they start with a YouTube channel and then build from there. And I think too often we can get just cluttered in thinking about everything that we need to do, all the stuff that's there, all the things that we could or should be doing. We'll put those words in air quotes, that we could be doing. And I think that focus on that one thing tends to really work well. And I would have to agree with Joe on that. What are your thoughts on that, Gina?
Yes, I agree completely. I see people way too often that they just get spread way too thin. They want to get their message out and they start using a lot of different tools at once. And they essentially don't speak the language of those tools. And let's just put out there, some of the standards: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, maybe Instagram, even Pinterest, nowadays TikTok and different tools. And unless you have a team, it's hard to really amplify your message. You can use tools like I know you love Sendable as a tool to amplify messages, but still it's hard to get the message out and converse with people and have engagement on those different platforms. I think it's better to really focus in on one platform and get your message out, learn the language of that platform. It's almost like going to a different country and speaking a different language. You really want to get immersed and conversant and comfortable there, and then move on to other platforms. That's what I recommend for our clients that we've helped with social media marketing, and that's the approach that we've used ourselves.
Yeah, Gina, I just think that makes sound psychological sense. Also, if you're trying to learn a task, and like you mentioned with the language, if you try to learn 13 languages at the same time, that's very difficult. Now, I have heard from people like Steve Kaufman, who really knows learning languages, you can sometimes learn two languages at once. I could see maybe two, kind of like you go to a semester of school, you might take a course on English and another one also on science. Okay, so you got a couple there. But we also know that if you're in school and you're trying to take 20 credit hours in one semester, you're overdoing it and you're not going to do well at anything. So you want to pull back on that and focus on something and get the right help.
With this
Get the
question
right
that I
kind
had for you.
of help, and that is going to help in many different ways on that. Gina, I heard some comments there in the background. Were you looking at another piece of media you wanted to share?
No, I was just opening up where we're sharing. So sorry about that. Should have
Oh, that's
muted.
okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. Well, so I think the whole thing is right now for you content creators out there, if that's what you do, you need to think about how you can tap into this. One of the great things about today's world is we've got the tools to create some amazing content that lets you, well, pretty much take over what you need to do in your particular niche. You need to be the person that people turn to on that topic. Start with one platform. I started long, long ago with print, simply working on print. Well, that was when I was in high school. And in high school, I was a journalist. I worked for a paper. And as many of you know, I worked for that. And when I was 16 years old, a junior in high school, the paper liked what I was doing. I had interviewed a senator from Lansing there in Michigan. And I was able to go to Washington, D.C. and covered Richard Nixon's inauguration, which was quite an experience for a kid at that time. But for me, I perfected my ability of communicating, or started perfecting it. I think we never get perfect, but working with it on print. And then when I was in high school, also, I got involved in radio. So I was working on the audio side and on the print side, doing both of them and making sure that they work together. So for me, it's been a natural on that. And now, hey, with social media, it's kind of fun. I can jump out there and even do TV. Undergrad was radio, TV, and newspaper. So I had some experience there. But gradually doing that, building it out helped a lot. And I realized, okay, you need to perform a little bit differently for YouTube than you do with a podcast and than you would with print. And each social media platform has its own little nuance of what you need to do and how to do it. So I think that by doing those kind of different practices, getting used to them, and then finding out ways you can create those NFTs in your community, hey, you can do pretty well with that and have some fun with it. Gina, what are your thoughts on that? And Gina, we're not hearing you for some reason. Somehow your microphone has said goodbye.
There we go. Yes, I think that's a great way to do it, to really dig in. I see that one of our viewers has posted about focusing on doing one thing really good and then build from there. Do you see that? Perhaps you could feature that post.
Yes, and we'll click on that here. Let's see. Well, we should somehow. Wait a minute. For whatever reason, that doesn't seem to be coming up on the screen. I don't know why. Clicking there, but not able to get that.
Okay. Well, so I think that that's a great way to do it. And, you know, a great example is what we're doing here. You and I are teaching about NFTs and social tokens, creator coins, as we're learning about them. You know, you and I have been in the crypto space for a long time, many, many years. We're practically OGs because we did get involved in 2013, I believe. And so we've been watching it, we've been experimenting, we've been doing our own methodology of learning about it. And we've each been involved in a number of business ventures related to crypto as well. But we're just now coming out and starting to teach this ourselves because we know how important it is, especially in these turbulent economic times, these turbulent political times. The world's kind of upside down. And even though cryptocurrencies are up and down and up and down and very volatile, we see the future that this is going to be very important for businesses as well as individuals to become more conversant about this new form of technology, because this is the future. And there's a lot of power to the mechanics, to the algorithms, to the way that digital currencies work. And we're comfortable with that. And we're comfortable sharing that with others and helping people enter this space and get to know it, because it's confusing. It is like learning, much like the social media platforms, learning about cryptocurrency and this world of NFTs and social tokens can be very confusing, intimidating, and can feel very much like you're learning a brand new language and visiting a foreign country. So Terry and I are very comfortable with it, and we want to share that with you guys.
Yeah, so remember one of the things we were talking about, we want you to take a look at and give you some of the actual tools, see if it's right for you. There's going to be CEX events, and they'll be going on May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Phoenix, Arizona. So you want to check that out. And don't forget that VRS, as in Video Rock Stars. You put that in as the coupon promo. You'll save $300 on that. And Gina, I think we've got a few other things here that we wanted to mention as well. For instance, a membership workshop that's going on. Just in case you didn't want to go to that, there's another thing here. And tell us about this event that's going on.
Well, in addition to cryptocurrency, another of my favorite things is recurring revenue. And a part of NFTs and the creator economy is that we can merge these, and we can use cryptocurrency to create recurring revenue, which is even better. So I love recurring revenue. I love getting paid every month for work that I did a long time ago and work that I'm continuing to do. But rather than having to make sales every month and make sure that new sales are being made, I'm getting paid on sales that were made a while back. And then that recurring revenue is still coming in, still delivering value and still getting compensated for it, but not having to necessarily do those sales over and over again. And so my membership mentor, the person that I've learned a lot about membership programs from, is Stu McLaren. And once a year, he has a program and he teaches a free workshop on membership programs. And I know of several people who have taken just this free workshop and launched their own membership programs that has helped them become very financially stable by learning how to do this. Now, the ones who've taken it even a higher level typically are the ones who do take the course that he will offer. But he starts this program. It starts April 21st. So that's this Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And buckle in, bring your notepad of choice, and take notes and think about how could you turn your business model into a recurring revenue subscription model. Wouldn't that be nice to be able to get paid month after month and develop this community? Like we have our Video Rockstars community, and we love the fact that folks are there each week. We meet weekly, and we bring in trainers to help provide valuable content and training. We learn from our fellow community members. We watch them grow. We're there to help them. And it's just been a very rewarding experience for us. Wouldn't you agree, Terry?
Yes, indeed. There, as I reach over and grab the mouse and bring it in, I think there's a lot of good things there. And I know we have another option that you wanted to let people know about as well, Gina, and that is the recurring revenue workshop there with a free VRSevent.com. Tell us a little bit about that and what happens every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, this is our weekly Video Rockstars power session. I call it Wonderful Wednesdays because we get together with some of our favorite people on the planet, and we're learning great information about video marketing. So how to create, amplify, and monetize your online videos, just like Terry and I are doing right now. We're sharing with you some of the information that we've learned and some of the things that we've realizing are important for our community to know about. So we meet every week, and so there's the free link to sign up, vrsevent.com. You can come join us for free. Now, if you want the recordings and other and access to the private membership group and other cool things, you can join the paid program. But this is our free level of Video Rockstars, and we would love to have you join us this Wednesday, where we're going to be
Yes.
talking about, again, one of my favorite terms, recurring revenue.
Yes, we got a couple of ladies who are going to be sharing, Pat Iyer and Lois Kramer, who are really good at this and know it real well and are doing it. So how you can create a revenue is important. I'm looking forward to being there myself because I'm going to learn a lot from those two. They're incredibly wonderful. So we've got a lot of good things happening in the world today, in spite of the yuck that's going on. We're aware of that, but we realize here's a way for you to pull out of that. If you want to, you can. You can start learning about how the NFTs can help building a community so that people are more involved with you. We're going to be talking more about this later, and we're glad to have you with us, have you joining us on that. Gina, any final words before we say goodbye to all the kids?
Well, we did spend time last Saturday at the National Speakers Association Central Florida chapter learning from Brian Fanzo. And Brian Fanzo made some really interesting points. He is doing a podcast called NFT 365. So I think you can reach it by NFT365podcast.com, where he is purchasing an NFT every day. And he is going on and doing podcasts about his experience, what he's learning. And it's just really a great way to plug in. So I'm very plugged into his podcasts and a number of others where I'm learning, just really immersing my brain in all of this new language so that I can share it with our community, taking that information and repurposing it, dissecting it, and translating it to service-based entrepreneurs, the folks that are in our community, are in our Video Rockstars community and in our world. He said some very interesting things, and we may do another podcast another day to tell you more about those. But I guess one of the most interesting things that he talked about was how a brick and mortar business, like a car dealership, could use the concept of an NFT to make it make sense to give even better service to the people who buy cars from them. So imagine, if you will, that you've bought a car from the local car dealership, ABC car dealership. And so rather than it just being a one and done, that they sold you that car with an NFT contract. And that part of the contract was that when that car is sold in the future, that car dealership gets a tiny piece. Maybe it's 2%, 5%, 1%, even 10% of the price forever every time that car is sold. Well, they're going to be highly motivated to make sure you're really happy and to deliver on servicing that car in a way that keeps the value up and keeps the car well maintained. So I thought that was a really interesting and innovative example that he shared, and something I had not thought about at all. But there's so many applications to NFTs, not just in the online coaching business, which is what we've mainly been talking about, but in so many applications to brick and mortar service businesses as well.
Yes, indeed. A lot of applications in many different areas. So sounds like there's a lot of opportunities out there, amazing things that you can do. And we're glad to be part of that. So remember, the NFTs, non-fungible tokens, have tremendous opportunities for building your community. It can seem a little bit crazy at first as you get all the different new terms and new buzzwords and acronyms. But in a way, it's kind of like the internet. In the internet, there was a lot of confusion initially when we first saw it coming out, but now we accept it and understand what to do. Well, Gina, always good to have you with us, and I appreciate you being here. And those of you that are joining us, we appreciate you being here as well. I'm Terry Brock, and Gina Carr. We're wishing you the very best as we go forward. As I get my thumb over here in the right place, if I put it over there, you don't see it, but I put it over here, you can see see it that way. But we will see you a little bit later, and thank you very much for joining us.